Hello students of plus 2, good morning. The biology lesson proceeds further because yesterday you studied about the pollen grains or anther. Anther having pollen grains. Today we will study about the structure of the pollen grain and types of cells or nucleus present in the pollen grains. Pollen grain is also called microsporangium. Microsporangium is pollen sac and microspore is called pollen grain. I repeat, microsporangium is pollen sac on the anther and microspore is the pollen grain. The pollen grain has double layer outside, exine and intine. Exine is thick for protection of the pollen grain and intine is thin. When the pollen grains is seen under the microscope after dissection, we see two types of cells in it, vegetative cell and generative cell. Vegetative cells for the vegetative development of the pollen tube and generative cell is divided by mitosis, makes two cells, two male gametes. In pollen grain, there are two male gametes and one vegetative cell. It is also tube cell to make pollen tube. When there is pollination, means when the pollen grain falls on the stigma of the same flower or other flower. So, tapetum is the thin layer which forms the pollen tube. Exine, intine. Exine, intine and tapetum covers that very microsporangium, pollen sac. Pollen sacs are covered by tapetum. Pollen grain is covered by intine and exine. So pollen grain, as you know, is microspore, and microspore has two layers, exine and intine. This is a very good diagram of the pollen grain. It has exine, intine and two layers, two cells, vegetative cell, generative cell. The generative cell is smaller, vegetative cell is bigger. The generative cell has a male gamete, which divides by mitosis into two cells, male cells. Generative cell makes male cells. Now, what happens? Sorry. The study of the pollen grain is called palynology. There are different types of pollen grains. In Calotropis, there is a special type of pollen grain. This is pollen grain of Calotropis for pollination by insect or air. Okay? Then, when the pollen grain falls on the stigma, it germinates. It germinates into pollen tube. The germination of the pollen tube is very particular and it comes out from the intine. The intine of the pollen grain is very thin and the three nucleus come out from the pollen grain in the tube, pollen tube. Two are male cells, male gamete, and one is generative, that very vegetative cell, which helps the development and nourishment of the pollen tube. Pollen grain is empty. So then all male gametes and tube nucleus. Tube nucleus degenerates and the generative cell divides into two male gametes, and two male gametes result in double fertilization. That we'll study in the tomorrow lesson. From the germpore, pollen tube comes out, and this is the process developing on the stigma. This is all about pollen grain, palynology, study of pollen grain and cells in the pollen grain, vegetative cell, generative cell. Generative cell is really the gamete forming cell by mitosis. Two gamete cells, two male cells. What the male cell do, how double fertilization is there in plants, we will study tomorrow. Thank you so much for giving me attention. Please don't waste time. Time is money, time is precious. Expand your study, whatever every teacher says to you. You make self-study from the beautiful books provided to you, that is ABC modern and that very elementary. Thank you so much. See you morning.